one should take ample time to pause and appreciate the wondrous scenery along the way.
You're about to collapse, aren't you? The doctor will see you now.
Taking a turn for the better.
Okay, that snake was awesome. Also, its design totally popped up on Baiju's shield.
I like that.
Well, I'm afraid of snakes, but Chung Chung sounds so cute.
Yeah, me too. And also, random thought, but isn't Baizhu the first male character with glasses?
Oh, wow. I think you're
Ooh.
right.
Yeah, I think you're right. Personally, I love his voice. Think it's amazing. Also, you can't go wrong with purple
Not
pants.
biased at all.
You really can't. You know what? Okay, let's talk about Baizhu. Baizhu is a doctor at Boo Boo Pharmacy and is skilled at healing his patients. His abilities have helped Boo Boo Pharmacy make a reputation for itself in Liyue Harbor. But most importantly, Baizhu is a gentle and refined physician, and his heart is dedicated to helping the world. He tends to anyone who comes to Boo Boo Pharmacy seeking medical attention, regardless of their wealth or status.
Ah,
Oh, I see. So he's that kind of doctor.
What kind did you think he was?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of thought he might be the type of doctor who does good things, but with his own nefarious plan. You know, like, I can save you.
But for a price.
I guess he just seems kind of mysterious like that.
Well, I give your imagination some credit, but sorry, he isn't quite the suspicious doctor like you imagined. In fact, he's actually a trusted physician among the people of Liyue Harbor. Everyone prefers to go see Dr. Baizhu, no matter how serious the problem may be. But even though he works as a skilled physician, his own condition isn't so great.
I know people say that doctors are the worst patients. Is that the case for Baizhu as well?
Well, Baiju's case is a little complicated, and I don't want to give away any spoilers. So, travelers will have to check him out in-game to learn more about his story. So, zip, that's all you hear out of me.
Okay, well, no matter what happens, I just hope that he'll be able to take care of himself.
Me too. But besides his health, Baizhu also has some other troubles to worry about. For example, Director Hu will sometimes put up ads outside of Boo Boo Pharmacy to promote her funeral parlor. On top of that, poor little Chi-Chi is terrified of Hu Tao. So there are some days where Baizhu really has his hands full.
Yeah, that does sound like something that Hu Tao would do.
As fate would have it, Baiju's master and the former director of Wangsheng Funeral Parlor both studied together under the same master. But the two had differing views on the concepts of life and death and ended up going their separate ways. Their differences were passed down to their apprentices, which has led to Baizhu and Hu Tao's different views. In version 3.6, travelers will be able to play through Baiju's story quest to hear some of Baiju's inner thoughts and learn more about this caring doctor.
Interesting. I can't wait to check it out.
In his search for discovering new treatments and cures, Baizhu will often choose to test new medicines on himself. As you spend time with Baizhu in the field, you can make use of his knowledge of herbs and interact with certain harvestable items, which will heal your current active character.
So, since Baizhu is a doctor, I think it's pretty safe to say that most of his combat abilities are focused on healing, right?
Yep, that's right. Baiju's treatment in battle is usually performed in 2 steps. Step 1 is to control a wandering sprite that cruises through the enemies and restores HP to his teammates. Step 2 is to create a shield. When the shield refreshes, ends, or is broken, not only will it provide healing, but it will also deal dendro damage to enemies. Baizhu believes that even in a difficult spot, as long as the diagnosis and treatment are done properly, lives can always be saved.
Sweet. Looks like we'll be able to try out some new team compositions with him in mind.
For sure. Well, all right, I think that's all we have for Baizhu, so let's move on to our next playable character. I bet many travelers already know him well.
I'm glad you gave me a chance. I always think it takes people with similar tastes to sustain a pleasant conversation. Come at me! Breaking new ground!
Oh.
Nice.
Okay. Did you see him make dendro cores explode on command? That'll be useful for me.
Yeah, that was crazy. And the toolbox, he has some cool accessories. I am jealous.
Oh, yeah. I'm loving those animations. Super cool.
Okay, so since Kaveh has some connections with Dory, I'll introduce him. Kaveh is an architect and has this keen sense for beauty and the arts that he's developed ever since he was a child. Not to brag or anything, but his magnum opus is the Palace of Alcazarzaray, which is crazy coincidence where Dory lives. And his designs not only provide the required functionality, but also greatly incorporate his own artistic taste, making them feel unique and noteworthy.
Well, he sounds like a genius, so he must be pretty successful.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't quite lead the life of success and carefree spending like you might imagine. It's actually kind of the opposite. He hardly has enough more to survive.
Mood.
Okay, so he's broke. Interesting. Why's that?
Well, it kind of comes down to Kaveh's personality. He's a very perceptive person, so he has this sensitive and delicate side to his character. He also has a strong sense of empathy and can understand the emotions and thoughts of different people, which may actually be one of his sources of artistic inspiration. For example, when someone is trying to sell something to Kaveh, all they have to do is make up some story about how the proceeds go to helping poor children, and he'll practically hand over his Mora. Like all of it.
Wow, what a nice but gullible guy.
Yeah. And on top of that, he doesn't limit himself with the cost of construction. And take the Palace of Alcazarzaray as an example. Maybe only a real maniac architect like him, who doesn't care about the costs, could ever build something as amazing as that. So you gotta respect him for that.
Yeah.
But it's probably these kinds of situations that have made him become roommates with Alhaitham.
But aren't Alhaitham and Kaveh polar opposites? We see them bicker all the time.
About what?
Well, Kaveh thinks that Alhaitham lacks feelings for others and always disagrees with his point of view. But like Anjali just said, Kaveh can understand how many people feel, but understanding doesn't always mean agreement.
Right. Yeah, I think we're starting to understand Kaveh's character a little better now. So next we can move on to some of his talents.
Yeah, for sure. As an architect, Kaveh can help everyone save some materials when creating furnishings, and his mapping abilities might come in handy during battle. As a unique and creative designer, Kaveh must always bring tools with him. His toolbox, named Marak, not only provides Kaveh with tools, but also has many interesting uses. For example, Marak's mapping ability allows him to scan the battlefield, causing all dendro cores within a certain AoE to burst immediately.
Nice.
In addition to that, when Marak completely releases its energy, it converts Kaveh's attack damage to dendro damage and increases Kaveh's combat capabilities.
Okay.
You don't need to worry about triggering all those dendro cores at the same time. Kaveh won't be hurt by them. In fact, one of Kaveh's talents actually causes him to recover a set amount of HP when he takes damage from a dendro core.
It's always good to have a reliable partner like that. Changshang always gives Baizhu a lot of help too, you know.
Exactly. But Marak is pretty remarkable. It can even wield a sword for Kaveh.
That's a pretty awesome toolbox.
I know, right? Okay, so that should be just about everything we have for Kaveh.
How should I say this? I think his character has more depth than we expected.
Well, he is a distinguished architect from the Nation of Wisdom, so we shouldn't underestimate him.
Yeah, and Kaveh will be appearing in the main event for version 3.6, so maybe we give some details about that next?